Silver investors have just one question for our friend Coin Shop Chris. When will silver reach $500 per ounce? How about $50 per ounce? Coin Shop Chris, welcome to Ron's Basement.
It's always good to be back in the basement. You know, I really love coming on this show. And if everybody can please like, share, and subscribe, I really appreciate that. Let's help the red shirt Ronnie out.
Well, wait a minute. You're avoiding the question, Chris. When will we hit $500 silver? When will we hit $50 silver? What are you seeing at the coin shop? Are people lined up out the door to buy silver and gold lately?
Absolutely not, Ronnie. And you know what? Nobody can answer that question. When is this going to happen? Nobody can. I can make predictions. You can make predictions. But gold sales, let's talk about gold for gold's been next to none, Ron. I mean, we probably sold the last week 3 ounces and all, and it's just been trickling with silver. It's just dead. The overall sentiment out there is just dead.
Well, do you think maybe that has to do with the fact that the central banks around the world are buying it all? Yes, those central banks, Chris, that are the most sophisticated, the biggest insiders when it comes to the monetary and fiscal systems of the world.
No, I don't have anything to do with that. I think it's due to high inflation. People are fed up with it, Ron, to be honest with you, and they're not thinking what's going to happen down the road. And I think when people start in the States here, Ron, when people start getting their tax refunds, I think we're going to see a push up. To what levels? Don't know, Ron. But I'm still getting it now. I'm converting now, Ron. The prices are low. We have said this week after week. I don't see silver going down to $14. I think, I've said this before, Ron. I don't think we're going to see below 22. We've seen 21.99 to be exact, Ron. I think we're at the flat. I think we're at the bottom now. We might dip a little bit more, but I don't think we're going to fall much more below 22.
Well, I don't think people are buying gold because it's too expensive relative to silver. I do know the central banks are buying a lot of gold, but I think everyday average people, when they get that option in front of them, do I buy 90 ounces of silver or do I buy 1 ounce of gold? I think people are using their brains and realizing that right now, and I love gold, but that silver is a much, much better value. Now, you talked about how you don't think silver is going to go below $22 an ounce. And, I looked at the chart of silver last night, a 1-year chart. It's very interesting. Over about the last 9 months, we have had silver like 9 times bounce off of the 2250 range. I think there was one point, maybe last October, I don't know, but where it went below 2250. But it's like silver has been bouncing between 2250 and $25 for almost pretty much a whole year.
And and you're gonna have to imagine this, and I'm gonna use this analogy, Ron. It's been like you say, Ron, it's been about 2250. If the friction's building up, at what point are we gonna spike? And it's gonna be like an earthquake, and it's gonna pop out of nowhere, and we're gonna wake up one day, Ron, and we're gonna see silver jump $2-3 in a day.
Is it going to be like one of those Jack-in-the-Box things that my dad used to torment me with when I was a kid, where you like turn the hand? Huh?
It'll be exactly like that. Yes.
I think I have one of those around here somewhere. Do you think it's like a beach ball being held underwater, Chris?
Absolutely. You can use any analogy you want. Yes.
Chris, you said it was like a volcano. You said it was going to be like a volcano erupting. When that volcano erupts, will you please answer my question? Will we get to $50 silver? Will we get to maybe $500 silver?
50. Well, let's talk about $50 silver, Ron, before we get to 500. Most of us can remember. Maybe I can't remember because I was born in 1980, Ron. We hit $50 silver, so we took inflation from $50 to today. We would have, whatever cost $50 back in 1980 would cost $184.99. This is from 2003's numbers, because the 2024 not out yet.
You mean
We got
2023? Yeah.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
In 2011, Ron, we got very close to $50 an ounce. So you take that $50 that was back then, we would have, you know, $50 back then. Today would be $67.73.
So hold on, let me get this straight. In $1980, when silver did indeed pop up out of the water like a beach ball or exploded like a volcano, whatever analogy Coin Shop Chris cares to use at the given moment, but when silver did hit $50 in 1980, that's the equivalent of $186 today.
$184.99, Ron. 185 bucks. Yes.
Wow. And in 2011, $50 silver, did you say 67 or did I get that one wrong too?
67.73.
Wow. Wow.
So put that in perspective, people. I mean, you know, we should be somewhere between 67.73, 184. I will even go even up higher. I believe silver today should be about 265 plus. $500 silver is possible. People just, you know, we're going to get some trolls in the comments wrong. That's fine. Saying we have silver pumpers and this whatnot. But when the day comes, Ron, people are going to be sitting back and say, what the heck happened? Why didn't we listen? Why didn't we listen to Ron? Why didn't we listen to Coin Shop Chris, Andy, Lynette Zanes, all saying basically the same thing.
Rick Rule, Keith Neumeyer, Coin Shop Chris.
Keith Neumeyer has been pushing, you know, been the heart of triple digits silver.
Yep. Yep.
So,
yep. Think about this, Chris. Think about this for a second. Think about this. Okay. Over the last 3 years, there's been 400 million ounces of silver that have been drained from the Comex and LBMA inventories. 400 million ounces, right? So that's what's been supplying this deficit in the silver market. That can only last for so long. I read something super interesting this morning that we don't really talk enough about, but we know there's about 30 million ounces of silver in the Comex registered inventory, from what I understand. And according to this article that I was reading, they put it in perspective. They said that means that like the entire Comex inventory could be cleared out for about 650 million US dollars. I mean, that's not a lot of money. I mean, it is to us, but in terms of markets, in terms of a commodity that is so critical, that's not that much money.
No, I mean, the United States spends more money on wars, Ron. So, I mean, you know, why isn't our government buying this up? Why is Russia buying it up? Why is China buying it up? Why is India buying it up? Yeah. Why are the central banks buying it up?
Chris, people,
you know, not the people that don't watch your channel. The people that don't watch your channel, Ron, are clueless. That what's really going on out there, it can change overnight, and people are going to be walking out there like a bunch of zombies and saying, "What the heck happened?" I mean, that's all I can say. I mean, they're going to be fighting over the last few things in their grocery store, Ron, and you know, and not, you know, because everything's gone to the roof. You know, can of corn at Aldi's has gone up from 50 cents to 63 cents in the past year, Ron. What's going to be like this in 2 years, Ron? Is that can of corn from 63 is going to go to 119, 129, $3 a can?
I've heard you many times say that when it happens, when everybody's walking around like zombies, people are knocking on your door, trying to trade their Barbie dolls for silver and stuff like that, that you're just going to have a case of beans on the front porch and say, here, take a can of beans, right?
And they're going to be Bush's baked beans, Ron. I'm going to have 12 cans of beans, 12 plastic spoons, and 12 bottles of water. And I'm going to tie a can opener to the porch. And so people don't steal the can opening. If it's not tied down, people will steal it.
Yeah.
And the first 12 people come knocking on my door will be, you know, have at least a can of beans.
You ready for some good news, Chris? Some good silver news. Let's see. Here's some good silver news. I think we need to take stock in the fact that the last 2 weeks were horrible for the precious metals. The news that we got was the worst case scenario. 2 weeks ago when we were recording this video, if you had told us that we were going to get these incredible GDP numbers, we were going to get these incredible supposed job numbers, that we were going to have the Fed meeting where the main result was going to be kind of a hawkish tilt, we would have thought that gold would have been in the 1900s for sure, and that silver could be pushing up against $20 per ounce. But it's not, Chris. Gold and silver have held strong. But wait, there's even more good news. But do you want to comment on that?
Well, you know, I'm not, yeah, the Fed is a joke. It's a clown show. Job loss, we have gone to the list, Ron. I just think Cisco, if people don't know what Cisco is, it's normally the restaurants order from them and that's how they get their food. They're laying off, Ron. That just got announced.
Is it Cisco, the food company, or Cisco, the technology company?
Maybe it was the technology company.
I don't know. Yeah. So, folks, do your own research on that one, because I thought it was the tech company, but I could be wrong. Coin Shop Chris has proven me wrong on many circumstances.
Well, I might be wrong too, but when I saw Cisco, that's what I thought of.
Yep.
I didn't read the article. I'll be honest. I didn't read the article. I just saw the headline. So, but I mean, you're getting all these jobs are getting lost, and they're just sweeping it underneath the rug like there's no big deal.
How about this? Probably Cisco, the food company, I would imagine, because who can afford to go out to eat anymore is probably laying off people. And very most likely Cisco, the tech company, is laying off people as well. You wanted some bad news? And then we do have another piece of good news for silver. But you want another piece of bad news? I was listening to this guy, Mike Pinto, who is, I think, one of the smartest analysts out there last night. And on these jobs numbers, and I've heard several other people say this, all these jobs we created, the actual number, when you take out seasonal adjustments and all the other, smoke and mirrors they throw into those job numbers, that actually, I think he said we lost 2.5 million jobs in January because of all the holiday hiring when they lay people off, that the real number was a massive job loss in January.
Yeah, and don't forget about your kids going to school there and they're asking you, to write, if you have a job and you get paid for it, they're counting that as a job too, Ron. I can bet your bottom dollar they're counting that as a job because you pay your $5 each to feed the cats.
Yeah, so, if you pay your kids an allowance, you get that gets counted for a job. How about some more good news, Chris? Here's some good news. CNBC. I know we both love CNBC. They had a big article this week about precious metals, but they specifically were focused in on silver and reporting about this massive silver deficit that we've been living through for 3 or 4 years now. But they went on to say that the Silver Institute is predicting $30 per ounce silver this year. And Randy Smallwood, the CEO of Wheaton Precious Metals, he brought up the fact that he could see $50 silver.
It's possible, Ron. I mean, it could even go higher than 50. Yeah. We've heard these numbers from these big banks the last 2 or 3 years. Chase come out with this number. Bank of America come out with this number, and it's not happened yet.
Yeah.
They're just suppressing the price, and we know what's going on, Ron, especially with silver. And I think it's done with gold too, but not as the high volume as silver rate is right now. It stinks, Ron. It's terrible what's going on.
Well, there's a volcano that's going to erupt, you predicted earlier, and that's going to be 50, but I think more like $500 silver. Remember that song? You were born in 1980, you said earlier, Chris. Remember that song, Walk Like an Egyptian?
No. I don't.
Remember Walk Like an Egyptian. You don't remember that song?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Oh. Well, I guess you can't sing it with me. But in Egypt, there's a little bit of a fury going on with silver right now. I don't know if you've heard about this, but Egypt has had massive inflation, right? Fiscal mismanagement, monetary mismanagement, right? They have a debt clock, just like the United States has that debt clock that we can all go and see how much debt we've racked up. And eventually those factors come home to roost, and they came home to roost in Egypt, and they've been having 30% inflation. And people are trying to protect their wealth, right? So what are they doing? They're buying precious metals. But what are they doing? They can't afford gold. So now there's been a big wave of buying in Egypt of silver. One of the biggest Egyptian precious metals dealers basically said that silver is the new gold. Do you think we'll see that here in the United States of America?
Once it's on the more mainstream, yes, Ron, there'd be a rush to the online deals like our sponsor Pinbacks, everybody else, your local coin shops. It'd be just like last March, Ron, where there was the coin shops, online bullion dealers had what 5-6 weeks waiting period to get your stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, then they
We
raised
could
them in
be.
the orders. They all
We.
raised them in the orders.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Well, we could be
No,
walking. We could be walking like Egyptians here in the United States because we are subject to the same laws of mathematics.
absolutely. And when it all comes crashing down, Ron, like I will repeat this again, we'll be people be in this country walking around. What happened, and what do I do next?
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
we have people in certain states, and they're mostly Democrat states. I'm not going to go Republican, Democrat on the channel, Ron, but there's a lot of people that are sleeping on the sides of the highways and campers, and our country does nothing about it.
Yeah, that's how we had that great Q4 GDP number. A big portion of that was a surge in recreational vehicle sales, and we joked around that, well, that's because nobody can buy houses anymore. I heard an interesting stat about housing that right now it takes 5.5 times the average American income to be able to buy a house. And that's like a record high level. So what people are doing is buying RVs. And then one of our crafty viewers posed the question to me, like, which is higher on the socioeconomic scale, if you live in your mom's basement or if you live in an RV? And we came to the conclusion that the highest levels if you live in an RV, but you park it in your parents' driveway.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I've seen 4 or 5 pictures from different states, Ron, and and it's just sad to see this happening. Our own, we're the richest country on earth, supposedly.
Yeah.
And we're spending money like there's no tomorrow, Ron. And what's going to happen next? I mean, we're pushing $35 trillion in debt, as you know, Ron, and as most of your viewers know. At what the breaking point? You don't know, I don't know, Ron, and I don't think the politicians even know, or the politicians don't even give a care.
Yeah, yeah. I know one thing for sure. If I'm going down the highway and I get behind an RV and it's leaning really bad to one side, I'm going to know that's yours.
It might be mine, Ron.
Because that's where you got all your silver stacked up on one side of the RV.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not your Barbie collection. I'm not allowed to talk about Barbie anymore. Let's talk about, well, you know what? Let's say thank you to our channel sponsors, our mining company sponsors. We have Fortuna Silver. They're a silver producer. They have 5 mines. You can check them out at fortunasilver.com. And First Mining Gold. They're a development stage company. They have 2 5 million ounce projects in Canada. You can check them out at firstmininggold.com. And of course, Pimbex, our online bullion dealer. And you did some comparison shopping this week, didn't you, Chris?
I always do this for you and for your viewers, Ron. I love doing this. This is the best part I like, because Pimbex always knocks it out of the park. This week, we're going to compare 2024 Australian Philharmonics roll of 20. Now, this is ACH price, so I'm comparing apples to apples. Roll of 20 at ATMAX was $576.40, Ron. JM Bullion was $567.80. BGASC was $549.80. I checked out SD Bullion. They were not available. Money Metals did not have the 2024s as of yet. They were doing them as random years. They were $533.60. So that's really not comparing apples to apples, but I had to throw them in the mix this week. And Pinbacks came in for a roll on $522.20. So we take the highest price at ATMAX. That is $54.20 savings. Pimbex comes to be 26.11 a coin. You can get 2 free coins from Pimbex comparing to ATMEX price. Pimbex is giving you 2 additional coins for the same price at ATMEX. Why would you shop anywhere else? I don't know.
More metal for your money, right? I think Pimbex is best. I think you will too. I seriously, when you're looking for bullion online, shop around, okay? Discover it for yourself, like I did. And I think what you'll find is that you're going to get the same exact metal. You're going to get great customer service, a company you can trust, and a little kicker, like CoinShop Chris just said, if you buy like a roll of Austrian Philharmonicas, you can save so much money over some of the big name brand online bullion dealers that you can get yourself 2 additional coins. So why not? Who doesn't want 2 coins? Right here. Here's two peace dollars. Right? You can get that, something like that. Right, Chris?
Absolutely. I just have a hard time. When I'm doing this every single week, right, I just shake my head like, how can ATMEX sell it for this price? How can JM? And they always seem to be the 2 highest out of everybody. And
Yeah.
no, I'm not bashing them, but their prices are ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, some people are just, I guess creatures of habit. I don't know, and it's up there. I mean, I knew nothing about Pimbex until probably a year ago. I'll have to go look back, and I got a couple of emails from a number of the viewers saying, you need to check out this company, Pimbex. I'm like, okay. So I did, and I looked at the prices, and I thought, wow, that's, those are great prices. And I placed an order, and I've been doing it ever since because I like to get more money, more metal for my money. Less money, more metal, less money.
And this week you get 2 more ounces for the same price.
Yep.
And you still have a little bit of change left over on top of it, Ron.
Yeah, get some Chinese takeout. What about the month? What about the 30-day numbers, Chris?
30-day numbers, Ron. Silver was down over the last 30 days, 50 cents, or down 2.15%. Gold was actually up the last 30 days, Ron, up $5.70, or up 0.28%. Platinum, I don't know what's going on with platinum. Platinum's down $65.30, or down 6.92%. Oil, Ron, like I've said, I've said this many of times, we're still in the plus the last 30 days. We're up $4.60 a barrel, or up 6.37%. But everything is okay in this country, right, Ron? Silver to gold ratio down a tick, Ron. Last week it was 90.26. This week is 90.24. So we're still having 90 to 1 ratio.
I don't know. These ratios, it's just absolutely crazy right now. The silver to gold ratio, 90 to 1, 90 ounces of silver to get 1 ounce of gold. The precious metal mining stocks, just the disconnect between the metal's price, especially gold, and the value of like the gold mining companies. I mean, it's if you look at the Huey to gold index, and that's the Huey is the gold bugs. It measures the value of the gold mining companies versus the price of gold. It's at like an all-time low. I think it's like 0.1. It's only touched that one. I mean, everywhere we look, there's weird disconnects. You got the S&P 500 that's above 5,000, setting all-time records, right? But only a couple stocks really are making up for that. The bond market, I mean, it's an interesting scenario in which we live in. The bank term funding program.
It's a Ponzi scheme. The stock market is a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yes. I won't say completely, but I'll say at this point, 60 to 70%. Yeah, you're just relying on somebody else to put money in there in the future for you to get your money back. Because the underlying, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Ron. There's one more point I want to make, Ron. Even if we gain the mining stocks, Ron, or we gain physical silver and gold, and the price drops, Ron, remember, we have not lost a gosh darn thing until we actually sell it.
Yeah.
So if you have mining stocks, you have physical gold in your possession or an off-site location, and you're holding on to it, and you're not trading it yet, or you're not hit that sell button on that stock, you haven't lost a penny until you actually make that transaction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I my mining stocks, like everyone's, have been just, and I have way too much money in the mining stocks, have been absolutely decimated. But when you look at what you get, like the value that you get for the amount of money that you have in a precious metals mining stock right now, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, if you look at Fortuna and you look at, like, for each dollar you put in, you're getting like more than $1 worth of assets. And those assets are making profit and free cash flow. Same thing, First Mining Gold, they've got 13 million ounces of gold in the ground in Canada. So when you buy, or you put $1 or $10, whatever, into that company, you're basically buying gold in the ground for, I don't know, $7, $6, $7, $5, maybe even $5 per ounce. It's, I mean, really ridiculous. And there's silver development companies, Suma Silver, Dolly Varden Silver, Silver Elephant, Silver Mountain, right? I think we both own some of that, where when you factor what you're getting for each dollar that you put in, I mean, a lot of times the silver in the ground, I think with Silver Elephant, I calculated that the value of the silver in the ground is valued at like 6 or 7 cents per ounce. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But almost all of them, it's valued at under $1 per ounce. Now, granted, it's in the ground, right? It's not stacked up in your house. But to me, if I'm going to own a stock, I like the fact that, that the silver or the gold is in the world's safest vault. It's buried deep within the earth.
And everybody's got to make their own decision for themselves
Yeah.
on what stocks to get, Ron.
Yep.
The only one I don't own any Fortuna right now. I do own some First Mining. I own some Silver Mountain. I like some of the other companies you mentioned. I had the CEOs on other companies, Ron. But if people are going to get into this mining sector of the stocks, do your own diligence research.
Yeah.
Watch Ron's Basement for the CEO interviews. Watch other people's channels. Investigate the company yourself.
Yeah, make your own. I'm not giving financial advice. I'll tell you what I do. In any company that I talk about, I own shares. I eat my own cooking, right? I'm like a restaurant owner, right? Like if I'm going to serve it to people, I'm going to be eating it myself. And trust me, I'm eating a lot of cooking when it comes to Fortuna and First Mining and some of those other companies that I mentioned as well. I've got an interview coming out Sunday with Max Porterfield. He's the CEO of a company called Comex. They're more of a copper company, but they fit into that type of that explorer developer category. But they have copper, and it's an interesting town in Canada called Flin Flon, which was built as a mining town, and now all the mines are gone, but they're finding big, very high grade copper deposits right outside this town of Flin Flon. And it's a real interesting story. Copper is, I think a lot of us precious metals investors kind of keep an eye on copper. We're mostly focused on silver, gold, and platinum, but we all know the story behind copper when it comes to the electrification of the planet.
Absolutely.
So
thanks,
thanks, Chris.
Be a ride, Ron. Thank you to everybody out there. We appreciate you.
Do you notice? By the way, Chris, do you notice anything different down here in the basement? Anything missing?
Yeah, there's no toilet seats, Ron. You asked, I told you.
For the viewers, yeah. But before we forget, thank you. I forgot. Thank you to you for joining us today. You are the most important part of this video, the viewer. So thank you. We hope we gave you some entertainment and a little bit of education and information as well. So thank you for being here. And just so you know, last night, Coin Shop Chris called me and said, you need to get rid of the toilet seats in the background. I used to have a couple toilet seats hanging up back there in the background. So they're now gone. Have a great week, Chris. We'll see you next time.
See you next week, Ron. Bye-bye.